Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's a beautiful early Thursday afternoon over here from Chicago, Illinois. Beautiful outside, a little bit less drabbed than what's going on in the background right on over here. But as always, wish you all on this nice Thursday. And wanted to follow up from this morning's live stream as I do want to talk a little bit more about some options type stuff during this video today and follow up on the lower time frames, as really that's the only thing that's kind of been going recently. Unfortunately, higher time frames, while they are being set, they just by the nature of them take their time to kind of resolve themselves. But I'm going to be talking about kind of what the next big area that I'm looking for to put on a more long-term position. So that's going to be probably a big focus on it, on a video like this. And without further ado, I do want to be wishing you the best and also the happiest of the happiest as always. And without further ado, let's get in a live scene right here, right now, as I struggle with my words and press the button that's been had. And there she is, Bitcoin. No, not Bitcoin, but Deribit showing options right now. I've actually just started to roll over my positions onto the next expiration. So you guys have been watching this position kind of, go for the last, what is it, like week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, where basically I've had this spot underlying long from about 97.50, really uncovered pretty heavy right there and went pretty hard long and covered against these short calls right here, which are now all in the money. So they're all basically, essentially ridden off, and I'm essentially delta neutral right now as long as we're above 11,000 before expiration tomorrow at whatever time it is, early in the morning. It's like 10 a.m. for Eastern Central European time, which I'm still have to adjust to myself. Anyways, the reason why I rolled them on right now is because I'll probably be asleep by the I will be asleep by the time that they actually expire. So typically what I'll do is I'll cover like a third before actual expiration and put most of these guys in the money. So I'll probably end up shorting a lot of these 11,500 strike calls right here, and then do a few out of the money and then leave about a third kind of uncovered, because I am bullish for the long term here, and even in the medium term as well. Although shorter terms, we're gonna be talking about some ideas where I could be a little bit less positively inclined, but that's obviously very short term, medium and long term, and macro term. Of course, nothing really changed there. Still very much bullish for the long term. Anyways, to pair this up and talk about the underlying spot longs and where this is all originating from, because obviously you can't just have one without the other. But looking at all these, looking at all my futures right here, I am long essentially from 97.50. That's essentially where I uncovered all my longs, both these Septembers and these perps right on over here, and then went in heavy to the upside right on over there as we broke upon some big major resistances. Then I started to cover them with options. So now what I do going forwards here is I have essentially what I really want to be having in an overall general upwards market. Just like during 2018, I was selling a shit ton of the spot underline, and then instead of selling calls against it, well, of course it's not going to fucking help, but what I'd do is I'll do the covered put. I'll just sell some puts against it and then take profits on that way on the way down, especially when you get into those nice little long form consolidations. Helps actually bring in the money while things are not really moving all that much. Anyways, with Bitcoin in this region right here, a little bit of a precarious place on the higher time frames, because we haven't necessarily broken out massively just yet to the upside, which is when I really want to let these guys be completely uncovered and just be delta, just straight long on my deltas there. Right now, I do want to be a little bit covered, so I will be shorting some of those next strikes expiring next week, just kind of rolling them over, because essentially we have expiration tomorrow, so it is time to make some decisions as Bitcoin moves on. The Bitcoin train never stopping. Anyway, speaking of the Bitcoin train, let's get into the actual charts right here. Looking at the daily, actually, let's start off with the expected moves chart on the daily. I didn't talk about this in the morning's video, and I feel really bad about not talking about it in the morning's video, because this completely got it right. Shout out to Bollypur for this one. The wick that we saw to the downside today at about 11,430, 11,450-ish region basically just tapped the lower end of the first end deviation, which, by the nature of it, especially when we're kind of in a more bullish consolidation, I would say that is likely to get bought back on up, and that's exactly what we saw right on over here, as Bitcoin is about $300 up from the lowest point of today, essentially just wicking off and perfectly buying up this region right here. So getting it pretty damn well. Now, overall though, with this chart doesn't just tell us about support and resistance, but it also tells us about ranges and kind of where the bias does indeed lie. And right here, the bias is kind of really just, as a consolidation, we're neither going above or below the first deviation, which is just all, par for the course price action. We're not doing anything crazy, as that would incite, a more critical realm from the narrative of the historical not historical volatility percentile, but just historical volatility essentially. And as long as Bitcoin's kind of within, playing within this first deviation, I don't see see any major breakout. And what we really want to see is kind of the second or third standard deviation start to line up with the major macro areas, which they do. We see the second standard deviation coming in right around about 12,200, which is actually even above where I would kind of consider a breakout. I think anything above 12,000 on like a higher level dildo close is going to be leading on into some pretty massive price action. So this would actually be a little bit more forgiving for that. But you could even just look at the first standard deviation right here coming in right around that 12,000-ish marker. So you know what? Perhaps I am wrong on interpreting like that. You should be using the first standard deviation for it, as this is looking pretty damn good here. Anyways, back onto the actual spot charts. Just looking at just analyzing overall structure here, we're getting that nice little stair-stepping behavior, which is quite constructive. It's good over a long period of time, and we do see moving averages switch into a full bullish posture. We have all lower periods trading above higher periods, and we're getting divergences between the lower periods and the higher periods, most notably the red 10 simple and the yellow 21, which we saw confirmed yesterday. Sorry, not yesterday, but with the advent of the new daily today. I mean, quite literally the one that we're looking at right now. And more importantly, from a longer-term perspective, that has lined up with some nice trending moves. If you checked out my technical analysis 101 playlist, you'll notice that there is near the end a strategy, preferably or pretty much almost only on the daily, that talks about the red 10 simple and the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the daily. Sometimes you can use it on the weekly as well and the monthly, of course, as well. But the daily seems to be one of the better bangs for bucks. Anyways, when they cross the downside, generally bad. When they cross the upside, generally good. Pretty fucking simple way of explaining it. Yes, there's much more in depth, much more in detail to it, and in that video I explain it. But just kind of do a quick little overview right on over here. We are getting a fresh cross the upside. Last cross the upside that we did get was right on over here during the breakout from about 8,000 bucks all the way to 14,000. So pretty nice move. And the time before that was right on over here in middle of February, leading up from this 3,500 move. Well, basically to that next $8,000 high right on over there. As I reach for my water, man, I am damn thirsty right now. Just 1 second. Oh, motherfucker, man. I forgot again to load it up with the waters, and I had a shit ton of salt today, eating all that, not ground beef, actually. I bought some pork today because they're out of ground beef. Unfortunately, I've taken all their ground beefs. Anyways, you will notice that this strategy, not perfect, though, when things are more or less kind of choppy, as you saw during 2018, it's certainly not as strong, although it did get these moves okay. I mean, if you just blindly traded this, you would have been, net positive, net winner, but it was, it wasn't the optimal way of doing things. When things are when things are really trending hard, like you see right here, or you see to the upside, or of course during 2017 to 2018, back on over here, if we can actually load this, there you go. Those signals are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And you will notice that each and every time that we actually got the bullish cross on these babies during the last general upwards markets, it really didn't give all that much fake outs. In fact, I'm going through all of them right now, and I haven't really done the microscope on this one just yet. But for the most part, there doesn't really seem to be too many fake outs. The only one that I can really find is during this first example right here, which was a very long form kind of drift off after hitting that high. But the other ones, which look a little bit more akin to what we're doing right now, were more or less straightforward. Once we got that cross back up to the upside, the consolidation was over and it was ready to trend once again, which is how I feel on the higher time frames. To follow up on yesterday as well, we did get the 3-day dildo time frame to actually close in a very, 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 very good posturing right here. More importantly, we do see 3-day Stokes actually pointing back up to the upside, and they are very erect right now. So I would say that, pairing that up with the 2-day Stokes right on over here, we very rarely see both these guys coming from the same angle at the same time. And of course, from the daily as well, which the daily are actually, very much more mature than what we see on the 2-day or 3-day. My point is, though, when we see all these three guys on the same side of price action, on the same side of the overall, macro trend, that's where major, massive price action has emerged from. The last time we saw all these guys lined up with each other was back on over here in middle of February. And the time before that was, well deep into 2018, during one of these major, massive drops. I believe it was actually on this drop from 16 or 17,000. These are pretty massive pieces of price action, and we very rarely get all of these guys kind of firing off from the same place at the same time. So this is very, 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 very interesting to me, as this is typically where those major trades emerge from, especially as Bitcoin grinds up against a major, massive resistance right in over here. Putting all the puzzle pieces together, yes, I am certainly bullish here. It's just timing this next trade is going to be the kind of art of this. Looking at the 3-day as well, we do see 3-day RSI did officially confirm yesterday above the exponential, which I do like as well, and that confirms this whole consolidation as well. I mean, actually on the RSI we do have a falling wedge right here, which I trust formations a lot more on RSI oscillator than I do on price action, but this one breaks out to the upside. It would imply that we have more room to go into the bullish control zone, but more importantly, we're just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone. So this consolidation overall is to be viewed with a bullish bias, which looking at this price action right on over here, yes, we know that with Bitcoin just coming down to the yellow 20 exponential moving average on the 3-day and rallying right off of it. I mean, that's fucking beautiful, man. That's exactly what you want to see. So this is quite healthy. This is quite a healthy price action. And going over here to the weekly, you can see that we're actually starting to see the initial etchings of this, of this starting to transpire into the higher time frames like a weekly, which really does matter for long-term direction. I mean, 3-day dildo time frame is pretty damn good. It does have major implications, but a weekly is just, well, that almost 2x. And we do see weekly Stokes looking like they want to catch each other right at the edge of the bullish control zone right here, which is a similar setup to what we had during the run of 2017 when Bitcoin was really trending quite hard to the upside. And that's a very good signature. And that's what you want to see from your Stokes during long, strong trending moves, like this, basically just straight to the upside. And we're kind of getting a similar signature perhaps in the making right now as the lower time frames start to turn around. We're going to lead on over into the higher time frames. But of course, we have to wait until Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for this to fully confirm itself. Anyways, overall structure looks fine to me. And it looks even better on the Bitcoin subsidiaries like CMEs right here, which have never actually officially broken the red 10 symbol or had any closing dildos below it. I mean, this looks fine to me. It looks fine, or sorry, it looks good. Going over here to GBTC, this doesn't look fine. This looks like really good. Bullish engulfing dildo with fall through to the upside. I like it. Yes, we are kind of having some red dildoness shoved back in our faces right now, but this is just coming back to fill the gap. I mean, I don't see any major questions marks with this price action. Just looks like a nice little retest of support. I mean, shit, man, we even have a little bit of room for some downside here, back down towards 14 and a nickel, which I would say that if that did happen, that'd probably be an opportunity more than anything. Which makes me want to talk about the lower time frames now, because well, the lower time frames is where all the action really is going on. And I'm gonna put back on all of these major movement averages as well. They're beautiful, and I like to have this rainbow of colors in front of my face. And looking at this right here, you do see that Bitcoin is, I mean, just by using your eyeballs, you can see that this is a nice little symmetrical triangle that we're working off of. Yes, we did just kind of lose the yellow 21, but this is not resolved right here. We're going to try some upside in the very low time frames, but I do have my concerns with this consolidation actually breaking out to the upside from here. Now, this is symmetrical triangle coming off of an uptrend, which is more statistically likely to break out to the upside. And I mean, the macro trend in general is just to the upside as well. So that's, doubly impressive. But I am a little bit concerned with this consolidation right here. Concern is not the right word, because that would imply that I don't you don't believe in Bitcoin, Krown, you bastard. Hey, I hate you. No, just kidding. No, what I mean to say is that I do think that it's quite possible that Bitcoin actually plays out this overall consolidation a little bit more, frustrating people just a little bit more before the actual big break, which yes, I do believe probably most likely happens to the upside. Anyways, looking at this right here, because it is symmetrical triangle, it is we can usually, the statistics on these are like more or less 1-to-1, and looking at potential measure move to the upside, if we were to break above, let's call it about 12,100ish region, if you want to be super exact with it. But if we do see, if we do see even like a 4-hour dildo close above this region, yes, I would be looking at a measure move actually all the way towards about 12.6 or 12.7 region, which is very important because it brings us above this blue box territory right here. Why is that one important? Well, let's go over to a fresh chart on Finex, which again, it all flows, but I just want to get a fresh chart on over here and show where this is kind of born from. And you do see these two resistance trend lines coming in from the wick highs or the dildo body highs. And actually, Bitcoin did close above yesterday's dildo body high right here. In fact, it did fully clear it, and you can see today we're actually fighting for it once again. So this is a good signature that it is being respected. It's just very rarely do I see you actually get 2 times to buy a breakout like this, which is very generous. I mean, very rarely do I actually see that. So that is why I'm a little bit apprehensive here. But more importantly, if we get above that next little hump, above about 12.3, 12.4, where that next blue box was in, well, where's that going to break next? Well, this area right here, just the kind of like the last line of defense from what I look at from the diagonal perspective on an actual breakout. So understand the downside avalanche of effects as we have all of the higher time frame also starting to turn around, all the momentum kind of turning around once again. Structure looks good. Structure is being confirmed as a healthy bullish consolidation, and we are approaching some major massive areas, which now can have some massive implications further down the road. Anyways, as I look at my alerts right over here, Jesus Christ, man, computer, stop! Computer, cut it out. Anyways, I still haven't figured out how to turn off the fucking alerts, and people have like sent me detailed instructions on how to do it, and it's still, for whatever reason, I think my computer's just different. I don't know why. Anyways, looking at this price action right over here, as long as we're kind of within this triangle, no real major plays to be had. I mean, this is even like lower than low time frame bullshit. This is like micro time frame, crack trader time frame bullshit right here. But yes, if I did have to call this one, I do think that Bitcoin plays out a little bit more to the upside. We got the very short term move that we were looking at during this morning's video to about 11.7, or sorry, almost 11.8 here. So not bad. And I do think that Bitcoin's going to spend some time going sideways, just playing it and filling out this triangle, which does have an apex, I believe, if I just kind of elongate this one out, on the about 11th, beginning of 11th. So basically in 2 days, 2 days from now. No, today is the 8th, so about 3 days from now. So not bad. But more importantly, looking at this, that would suggest that somewhere right around here, which would be the 9th of August, which would be tomorrow for for those of us in the Western Hemisphere still playing the DeLoreans right now, then yes, I'd be looking for resolution on this triangle sometime tomorrow, most likely sometime around early midday tomorrow. It looked like is where it becomes extremely likely to break, statistically speaking. If it breaks up to the upside, like I said, measure move very much towards about 12.6, 12.7, which of course breaks above this blue box territory right here and has implications into the higher time frames. That's going to start to set up the weekly to look good as well, and then we can start talking about some moon boy targets off that. But by the same token, this does have a chance to break out to the downside, and if it does, with any sort of a 4-hour diddle close below about 11,600, we'll call it, about 11,600, then I'd be looking for a measure move actually all the way down here towards about 11,000, which would be very important. And this is actually what I wanted to talk about this and why I'm not necessarily convinced that this breaks out just yet. So let's get down and dirty into it right now, and I'm going to take off all of these moving averages except for a few. And I know I've talked about this a lot recently, but there is a few things to be aware of here, and I'm going to be building a case. So we have 3 moving averages. We have the green 50 exponential moving average, the 200 exponential moving average in the purple, and the white 200 simple moving average right on over here. So the green and the purple, those are going to be referred to as the golden cross and death cross moving averages. The white 200 simple, it's the 200 simple. It's boring as fuck. It's white. It's so you're allowed to hate it. No, just kidding. Shouldn't get into that right now. Jesus Christ, man, I've been listening to too much fucking medias. Anyways, sorry, terrible joke to be making. My God. Anyways, looking at these guys right here, we did get the golden cross not so long ago, and if you remember any of my videos from the past couple weeks, or if you want a refresher on those, definitely go check out my last video that I uploaded to the long-term analysis playlist, which will go in very much detail with examples. But basically, I've gone ahead and I'll kind of summarize it for you. On these death crosses and golden crosses, I've actually documented all the past prior death crosses and golden crosses in general upwards markets, which yes, we very much certainly are in a general upwards market right here with the last 6 months of price action to the upside. So I struggle for my breath. You can see that what I found was it usually took about 2 weeks on average to go from death cross to golden cross. Funnily enough, how long did this one take? It took about 2 weeks from the 22nd of July to the 4th of August before getting golden crossed. Usually on average, there's about 10 to 20% of damage done to the downside from death cross to actual low on that price action, and we see about the same thing running over here, about 12.5%, so it's within the range. So it's playing off those same sorts of values. Now, more importantly, and the fun part of this, and there's a few more things to be aware of, but after the golden cross was had, on average, Bitcoin doubled within the span of about 60 days, 60 to 90 days, we'll call it. Some were a little bit less, like one was an outlier at about 50%, another one was an outlier at about 170%, and then there's actually one that was like super far out, like 400%, which is just, that's fucking parabolic blow off top central right there. It doesn't really account for what we're doing right now. Not the best one to go off of, but my point is that the implications of that price action after the golden cross were pretty damn good within a reasonable amount of time. We'll call it 2 to 3 months essentially, with 3 months being kind of more towards the norm. Anyways, I also found that the acceleration to the upside really began once we got both the green 50 exponential moving average and the purple 200 exponential moving average above the white 200 moving average right over here after their golden crossed. Once that happens, then that's where the fun really did begin. But more importantly, usually, except for one time, but usually we saw price action test down to either the white 200 simple or purple 200 exponential moving average after we got both these guys above the white 200 simple. And we can quickly go back into this. And I actually haven't really done an analysis on the time that it takes to typically test back down there. But I do want to talk about this now, and this is going to be good to go through fresh because I do think that is quite interesting because it is getting closer and closer to it actually happening where we get the 200 exponential above the white 200 simple. I would say that this is something that I want to be very much aware of right now, as this is going to be the next opportunity for a medium, long-term, maybe even macro-term trade. As I look at it right on over here, as I go back to the past prior general upwards market. Come on, baby, show me the goddamn price action, you lazy fucking trading view. Just kidding, letting my autistic rages out once again. But here we go. Here's where things really start to turn around. We get death cross right here, golden cross right here, all moving averages above, and we come down and test the 200 simple. It looks to be about about 2 weeks after we got the golden cross above these guys. So it took about 2 weeks. We tested the 200 simple. That was a great buy. And then boom, off to the races, 100% up over the next like 40, 50 days. Then we get the next death cross right on over here. Golden cross gets all above the white 200 simple right here. We come down and test price action. So from golden cross to actual test, how long does that take? Takes about almost 21 days, so 3 weeks. So that's actually quite some time. And then we go about another 50% up. Then we see another example right on over here. Get the two colored ones above the white 200. God damn it! I said it again. This video is going terribly. This one's gonna be cut up in all terrible ways. We get the two exotic colored. Is that better? Is that better? Moving averages above this boring, stupid, throwaway white 200 simple. It's getting so terrible. Jesus Christ. All right, I need to stop. Anyways, from golden cross to actual test down to the 200 exponential moving average, how long do we take? We take 9 days, about 9.5 days, it looks like. Then we go on to our next one right on over here. We get the death cross once again, get the golden cross about a couple weeks later, and then we get all these guys above the white 200 simple. And in fact, this one looks like it tests it relatively soon. Looks like it takes about 5 days, we'll call it. Closer to 5 days, it looks like. Then we get this next example right on over here, golden cross to test down to the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average, which this one is the only one that actually doesn't officially test one of these guys. It doesn't officially test one of these guys, but it gets damn close, and that's fucking close enough for me, man. That's literally about 1.5% away from it. So that's close enough. There is a degree of error here. Anyways, more importantly, it takes about a little over 6 days for that one to transpire. So we're kind of coming up with the range right now, and say on average about a week. We'll call it about a week. Do we have any more examples going on here? Yes, no. That's $20,000. So yeah, no more after that. Anyways, back into the more present times, and we do see that from the golden cross to where we are right now, it has been, I believe, 5 days. So on average, we could say that this usually takes about a week. You have seen some outliers in the past as well, so that's not necessarily a complete statement. But you would imagine that this likely does test down there or somewhere around there relatively soon, because we are quite far away from the white 200 simple or purple 200 exponential moving average. We are literally about 7.25% away from it. So this brings up a couple different things. First and foremost, does this mean that Bitcoin 100% has to come down there and test there? No, it doesn't. Obviously, weird things happen, but if we're going off statistics, if we're going off of the setups, just presented over time, historically, pretty damn good chance. Good enough for me to think about trading around there. That brings up to the next question. Is this trade 100% guaranteed to work out? Fuck no. No trade is. No trade is. But the statistics are on the side, which is all you need as a trader. A trader does not need to be 100% right in order to make money. A trader just needs to know how to fucking trade, which is a completely different skill than learning how to actually analyze things to be funny, or it's funnily enough. So more importantly, looking at this price action right here, when we're kind of setting up a little bit of a symmetrical triangle within this current reach right here, with both these moving averages way far away, and historically speaking, we pretty much, I shouldn't say we pretty much, but we pretty much do always test them. Going back into our lower time frames here on BitMexico, we do see that the measure move from this triangle would actually be pointed down directly towards the white 200 simple or purple 200 exponential moving average, which are going to cross the upside relatively soon, I'd imagine, probably within the next couple days. And remember, this symmetrical triangle right here does have an apex somewhere on the 11th, it looks like. So that means that somewhere right around here, we probably do break it. And if we break it somewhere right around here, where that kind of line up with time-wise, that would line up with testing around the 200 simple to 200 exponential moving average within about 7 to 8 days after getting the golden cross. So there you fucking go. That's essentially what I'm looking at right now. I probably won't take the trade myself, just because I don't really have any real need to take this trade. In fact, Bitcoin looking pretty good right now, actually, on the lower time frames. But as you've seen with my streamer accounts, with my streamer accounts, all my positions are pretty big. Pretty big enough for what I'm comfortable with my streamer account, to put it that way. And for right now, I'd rather just let things kind of unravel. But for my main account, I probably will be buying somewhere right around there if we do get it. If we don't get it, there's always a next trade. Of course, it's not 100% guaranteed to work out, but the next trade for me would be if we actually break out of the top of this baby right on over here at about 12,000. It's really more like 12,100. The more and more that I look at it, and I've been saying 12,000 even. It's not 12,000 even. It's 12,100 if you want to get super exact. But I really dislike these diagonals, because with even just a small twisted them, it completely changes the whole equation. So I'd have to say I'd rather go with a conservative estimate of this, about 12,100 region. Anyways, that would kind of invalidate what I'm saying right now, is that would have too many implications with more aggressive price action to the upside. Until that happens, I do think that lower time frames probably played a little bit more of a rally here, go sideways within this blue box, but I do think that it's a little bit more likely that it eventually breaks down. We get picked up somewhere over here, and then go on for the real run after faking a few people out, because I don't think anyone's really getting faked out right now. Looking at this price action, only the perma bears are bearish right here. I don't think that any real traders or analysts are actually bearish right now. It's just not the structure that we have right now. You'd have to be a little bit more a part of the gang in order to be stuck in that, which plenty of people are. I mean, that's why we have fucking markets, right? People get stuck in the gangs rather than trying to just make money, really. But looking at this price action right now, does look overall constructive. I really want to be adamant in saying this and very, very clear in saying this, just because I am looking for that to break down. I am still very much bullish, longer term, and I'm very much open to that not breaking down as well, because if it doesn't break down, like I said, as a trader, I don't care. I don't fucking care as a trader. I'd be happy to buy a breakout out of this region right on over here as well, or more preferably a region over this, because this really has some massive implications with price action. As it stands right now, Bitcoin's just kind of going sideways and not doing all that much. Anyways, okay, so we spoke about all of that. Did we talk about the 12-hour? 12-hour, I think, is worth talking about, just because it's probably going to get a pretty damn good close here, to be fair. This is a really good reaction off the red 10 symbol. In fact, funnily enough, this price action in whole looks a lot like the last year price action, just as a funny aside. But looking at 12-hour RSI, looking like it wants to kind of put in a little bit of a formation right here, but I think I'm kind of grasping at straws right there. I don't think that's too appropriate to be talking about. More importantly, we see historical volatility percentile really downtrending hard as Bitcoin fills out this whole major consolidation. So this would suggest that this consolidation is nearing its maturity, but it would also suggest that it's not necessarily there just yet. I want to see the 12-hour historical volatility percentile really start to tick up and get back above that moving average and maintain above it for a little bit of time. Then I would be looking for some sort of a major break of one of the critical levels, which is gonna, for me, be about 12,100, I think. Or, well, let's put these guys back on. Where's this blue box right here? Sorry, this blue box is 12.3 to 12.4. So that is the big one then. Okay, so 12.3 to 12.4. Yes, that would suggest that. So I'd want to see historical volatility percentile taking up on that time frame as we cross some area like that. That's going to be the next major breakout, for timing a trade and getting the next major trending move. Going down to the lower time frames right on over here, like the 4-hour, we do see 4-hour historical volatility percentile has followed through with more ticks to the upside. So we're getting that downstream effect where, I started off with the higher time frame. It's probably better to start off with the lower time frame, to be fair, but we got extremely low in the historic volatility percentile right on over here. This is a fucking indicator that is mean reverting. It quite literally means that it's designed to explode and contract, but in this case, when you're coming from a zero, the only way is up, right? And very rarely do we see it get this low. I mean, the last time we saw it get this low was literally in February during the turnaround right on over here. So you can see that it's quite a rare thing. And then more importantly, we're actually taking up and above the moving average on this baby. So lower time frames are, doing what they're intending to do, but we need to see that carry on over into the higher time frames while at the same time taking out a major massive area. That's when I get quite excited for some moon boy targets, because like I said, on higher time frames I am quite bullish on this asset, but on the higher time frames this could mean waiting another 3-4 months, whatever the fuck it ends up being. Looking at the monthly right on over here, monthly is fucking powerful. I mean, looking at the looking at our situation on the top of on the top of the 200 bands, this looks like it wants to not just test but push, just like we saw right on over here during a strong trending moves to the upside. That's exactly what you expect. You expect a closure right near the top of the 200 bands and then push on the next one. That's a good setup, and this looks damn good to me. Pair that up with our momentum oscillators, we do see monthly Stokes straight to the sky right here. We see them back above the bearish control zone, which we've been away from for over a year. That is the same area where we did actually accelerate to the upside during 2015, right on over here from about $400 to $20,000 just a few years later. And we do see monthly RSI fighting for the bullish control zone as well. I mean, this overall looks fine. I mean, not just fine, but it looks good on the higher time frames. It looks fucking good. So I would say that, and then on top of that, it is worth mentioning that the quarterly, which I very rarely talk about, but it is relevant. It's just it doesn't really change all that much. It takes literally 3 months to set in one fucking dildo here. But looking at this baby, we do see quarterly Stokes looking like they want to cross the upside. There you go. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. The last time they crossed the upside was right in over here during January 2016. This little healthy dildo right here, just going straight to the sky for the next couple of years. Not only that, but we do see that we are pushing the top 200 band right now. In fact, it's currently coming in around 12,200. So any sort of a next quarterly close above that region, and I'd have to say that $20,000, the prior highs, is very much in sight, and I do think that it's quite possible before end of year. In fact, not just possible, but probable at this point. I really dislike saying this sort of stuff. I really want to back away from the super moon boy type target bullshit. But this is warranted, and we're at the stage of the market where this is now tentacles are showing where where the ice should be, and this is shaping up to be pretty fucking good. So that's what I'd say about that. Anyways, going back down to lower time frames, I think that I've kind of beaten all the horses that I wanted to death. Although you probably shouldn't beat horses to death, but my point is that these horses have been bad, and goddamn tired of these Bojack horsemans. But overall, the main message that I would have is that higher time frames still very much bullish. Very little changes with those guys from day to day, to be fair. And then lower time frames, probably holds it within this region right here. And I really would not be surprised if we do break to the downside on this one. But I would expect for it to get picked up somewhere between about 11,000 or 11,150, wherever the white 200 simple or 200 exponential moving average are around during that time, and then get picked up for like an actual massive move to the upside. Is it possible that we move to the upside without ever testing these guys? Yeah, possible. Is it probable? No, not really. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just when we're going off statistics, which again is what's gonna help you as a trader. That's what I'd be going with. So I just know that I have a play if we get back down there, but not necessarily beforehand. Speaking of, let's go over and check out the Bitcoin dominance chart, which I think is still uptaking right now. In fact, this one's very fucking powerful. Bitcoin dominance right here, clean break. So I was looking for this one to actually tick back down. I'm bullish on this one long term. I'm super fucking bullish on this one long term, but I did not expect it to go this high up short term. But hey, that's completely fine, man. Again, as a trader, that is that's 100% okay. Looking at the weekly right here, yes, we are right at resistance, but higher time frames, like I said, are massively fucking bullish. Monthly, more importantly, looks like it has free ride to about 72 and a half actually. Sorry, 72 and a quarter. Which would spell some more hurt for some altcoins, most altcoins. But that also means if your altcoin is rallying versus Satoshis, especially if it's been doing that for like steadily for the last 6 months, that's a really good sign. It's probably one of the more legitimate alts and likely to be very, very successful long term. If your alt is falling down in this current market right now, then it's just par for the course. And well, par for the course in this market is mostly shitcoins. Although, of course, whenever I'm saying that, keep in mind this is coming from a guy who's done very little research, if not zero research into most altcoins. Just looking at their charts, not really interested in anything like that. But again, I'm a trader. I'm not an investor. So if that statement kind of throws you off, just understand that I'm probably coming from a different perspective. That's all. Anyways, let's go check out traditional markets for a second while we are here. And it looks like I just got filled on some more on some more of those options. Looking at whoa, holy shit, powerful move. Yes. So traditional markets right over here. I was looking for this move when I said that this move was likely to happen at 293 and a half to 294 region. I did not think this soon. I would think like maybe by tomorrow, but this is shaping up a little bit faster than I'd say, and this probably incites that it does get extended. This is a pretty damn good bounce off the purple 200 exponential moving average. I'm not necessarily convinced that this drama to the downside is over just yet, but I do think that the bounce gets extended a little bit more, probably up to about 295, maybe 295 and a half, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. Let's check out the weekly for a second, because the weekly is going to be closed tomorrow. Weekly is likely going to get a pretty damn good close. I'd say that the bounce even extends into next week, as long as we close above 290ish region, and the bounce probably carries back up, significantly more towards maybe 297 and a half to 298 coming into next week. But for right now, bounce looking good. Bounce looks like it wants to extend, and I'd say depending upon how we close this week, that bounce will likely extend a lot deeper into the next week, probably somewhere right around 297 to 298, and then we'll reassess from there. But yeah, most stocks gave you a major, massive opportunity to be a buyer, while everyone was being super fucking bearish, talking about the sky falling, all that bullshit. That's usually the time to buy, and it's not like some sort of Warren Buffett fucking reference where it's buy when there's blood in the streets, which is silly. No, you don't want to be DC hashtag DCAing when there's blood in the streets. You want to be DCAing in an uptrend, which probably I think most people have that one wrong. You really want to be buying into an uptrend, not a downtrend. You never know how long these downtrends can go. That's the problem with it. And the long trends, and the uptrends typically go for longer. Anyways, let's go over here and check out Litecoin. How's Mrs. Litecoin doing? Get into our top 2 shitcoins right now. Speaking of weeklies, not a good weekly for Mrs. Litecoin. Bitcoin right here. But, I've been saying this for a while. If I'm going to be bullish on Bitcoin, can I be bearish on Litecoin? Does that make sense? No, not really. It's really difficult to be bearish on any asset versus US dollar when you're still bullish on Bitcoin, as they typically do move together. Ideally, we want to see these guys move together. And to me, we do see that Mrs. Litecoin is within some bounds of this little consolidation triangle right here, using the 200 exponential moving average at about $89, to kind of rally off of. So that means that if we actually do break $89 and close the daily total below here, then yes, I'd be looking for another retest back down at the very least to about $82.50, but likely towards the prior low of about $79. But again, if Bitcoin breaks the upside here, do I think that Litecoin is going to break down? No, I don't. I think that Litecoin is more likely to get back up to about 115, maybe 120, but a little bit lackluster and a little bit on the weaker side. Compare that with something like Monero. So let's compare two like top market cap altcoins together. This is Monero right here. Monero is a stark contrast to to Litecoin. In fact, Monero looks a lot more like Bitcoin, and this is good. This is healthy. Now it's a completely different posturing than Bitcoin when you look at the moving averages, but this one's switching up to bullish once again. I do like what I'm seeing over here from Monero. So I would say that Monero is a stronger coin. This is suggesting that the market's going to reward Monero in comparison to most of the other altcoins. This one would be an example of a stronger one, even though versus Satoshi is still fucking atrocious. Anyways, going over and checking out Mr. Buteral, he's at 220 it looks like, and same thing here. Really weak. Really don't like the way that this chart looks. This looks like a bear. This is a bear flag. It doesn't look like a bear flag. This is a bear flag. The volume signature is correct. The price action is exactly what you'd expect. We're being held back down below all major moving averages. I mean, this is fucking. It looks bad. If I was just looking at Litecoin or Ethereum, I would say fucked. My analysis is fucked. My analysis is exactly like that, baby. Fucking exactly like that. The problem is, very rarely do we see things move contra to each other versus US dollar. And if Bitcoin's going to be bullish, I don't think that this one's going to break down, right? Just like Mrs. Litecoin. If Bitcoin breaks the upside here, I don't think that these guys break down. However, if you do see Mr. Buteral, if Mr. Buteral closes the daily below the 200 here, at the very least, it's probably going to come back down and test about 211 region. If it does break 211 region, probably comes down to the 200 simple at around 194, 195. It doesn't look good, to be fair. But like I said, with Bitcoin, hinting at some more upwards momentum, it doesn't really pay to be bearish on some like Mr. Buteral here. Anyways, like I said, if Bitcoin does break to the upside, I'd probably be looking for Mr. Buteral to just generally float his way back up to about 275, maybe $300 somewhere in this region right here. But for now, pressure is onto the downside. This would be a more bearish formation. If I was just looking at Mr. Buteral, this would be bearish as fuck. If 195 breaks to the downside, that is extremely bearish longer term. Probably come down all the way towards 160 maybe longer term. But for right now, still kind of holding in there just barely, and really needs Bitcoin to kind of shove its strength, its powerful girthy green dildo to the sky and salvage this baby, because looking at the weekly, this is also fucking ugly right here. So really need Bitcoin to show his strength, flex his nutsack and bring the rest of the market up. But looking more and more at Mr. Buteral, I don't like what I see here. I really don't like what I see. So yeah, like I said, if I was only looking at Mr. Buteral, I would be bearish as fuck. Looking at the monthly, this is not good. I don't like the monthly. I don't like the monthly signature. We lost the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the last monthly close. Usually I want to see a test down to the red 10 simple after that. That's at 180. This doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Looking at Mrs. Litecoin, Mrs. Litecoin looks like she wants to come back down and test the 21 as well. It would only be a very nasty thing if we actually did take out last month's wick low at 75.85, or sorry, 75.88 and a half. So not quite there just yet, but would it, if we do that, we're going to likely come down to the 50 all the way here at about 58, $59. But like I said, if Bitcoin's going to be strong here, they're unlikely to break to the downside. This is just sloppy price action in the way that you get that in cryptocurrencies. Do we look at gold as well? Let's go look at gold for a second. Gold did hit our target to the upside at about 1513, a few month-long target, but finally did get it. And again, this is just gold, being like molasses because it trades in the traditional market. It doesn't move nearly as fast as Bitcoin. But that's okay. It's more traditional, I suppose. And I do think that there's more general upside here. Just like I said on the higher time, it's very similar to the higher time frames on Bitcoin. Massively bullish here, massively fucking bullish. Monthly, weekly, quarterly, all good, just like Bitcoin. But on the lower time frames, that's where a lot of the fuckery goes around, and gold is ripe for fuckery, as you can see right on over here, as there are so many just nasty wicks both ways. But I do think that we get perhaps a little, grind this area out a little bit, get a little bit of a pullback, and then try some more upside longer term. I do think that it has some more upside to go. Just looking at the monthly right here, tentatively speaking, or just kind of eyeballing it, somewhere between about 1575 and about 1600 is where I'd be looking for the next like major stop on a macro level. But that's likely going to take a little bit of time to get to. We just had a pretty nice momentous move to the upside right there, so I'd be looking for him to take a little bit of a breather. Anyways, back on Bitcoin, back on the party boy for the end of this bitch. And to wrap up this this video, I'll just kind of leave it like this. We have a nice symmetrical triangle right on over here in the lower time frames. The way that we break the symmetrical triangle is going to really offer up the next major massive trade. If we break up to the upside with a 4-hour delta close anywhere above about conservatively 12,100, then I would say that we have a measure move based off this all the way up here towards 12.7, so 12.6, 12.7 region, which is going to obviously break this blue box territory right on over here, and that's going to have major implications with resolving this whole formation right here, which I think is better seen on our Phoenix chart right on over here, which I've actually plotted out as a flag. And the flag actually does have a measure move pointing us all the way towards about 17,000 bucks, give or take a few bucks. So it's pretty massive, is what I'm trying to say. It's pretty fucking massive. And then on top of that, to the downside, like I said, as long as Bitcoin's within this triangle, I actually do think it's a little bit more likely to break it to the downside, just because that will fulfill historically what we do see happen a lot more often. But remember, this is still unlikely to break just right now. Probably going to take another day to day and a half. And if we do break to the downside, then I'll be looking for another test down to the 200 simple or 200 exponential, somewhere right around about 11,000 bucks. And look at that as a massive, massive, massive opportunity going forwards here. So I do believe that's going to do it for this video. I do want to wish you well, of course, as always, and do wish you the best of the best, because, well, it's fucking Thursday, man. So Jesus Christ, this life is going by too damn fast. I mean, geez, like fucking hell. This year it's already over, and it just started. What the fuck? what the actual fuck? It's actually quite it's quite enlightening just to see how fast life goes by now. It's like unreal, man. It's unfucking real. Start a goddamn don't start a trading journal. Start like a real life journal, and then you can remember what actually goes through day by day. Anyways, without getting too introspective right now, I'll save that for another philosophical topic. I'm gonna get off and wish you well as always. Take care and see you soon.